Please welcome Chief Marketing Officer of Brand USA, Staci Mellman, and Public Policy Lead of the Gulf region and Egypt for Netflix, Dr. Saleh Shoaib, in conversation with SkiftX Head of Studio, Jeremy Kressmann.
Welcome, everybody. So, Staci, thank you for that great look at how the USA is using screens and storytelling to captivate travelers. I think we've all seen for ourselves how a great movie or a TV show or a social post, for that matter, can inspire us all to travel. So we're also joined now by Saleh from Netflix to explore how great screen-based stories can influence and inspire travelers in our destination choices. I have to ask you in the audience all, how many of you have traveled somewhere because of a TV show or a movie you saw? Show of hands. Anybody? Has anybody done this? So like half of the room, okay. Staci and Saleh, tell me, like, have you taken any trips because of a great movie or TV show that you've seen? What have you done?
Definitely, I would say that The Lost Pyramid, and it was one of our shows on Netflix.
Okay.
And it was in Egypt. I haven't been to Egypt almost in 15 years.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, it just ignited a lot of mystery, and it was just sensational to see the little streets in Egypt to the deserts around Giza and Saqqara. And it just was totally amazing.
Right, okay, so the Lost Pyramid. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Staci, what about you? Have you been inspired by any destinations or things you've seen on screen?
Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed to admit this now, but
Go on.
think back 15 years or so when Grey's Anatomy was really popular.
Grey's Anatomy,
Yeah, Seattle. I hadn't ever been over to that west part of the USA, and I just really wanted to ride the ferry that McDreamy rode every day to work and see the beautiful mountains.
Felt like you were a doctor on the show, huh? Right. For me, it was Anthony Bourdain and No Reservations, going to Southeast Asia, eating that food, so absolutely I've done that as well. So, Saleh, I want to talk to you. Netflix, obviously, iconic brand in the world of storytelling, streaming. You've got shows like Emily in Paris, The Crown, My Octopus Teacher, if anyone has seen this, show about this great documentary about wildlife. Why do you think destination content is so popular, and what kind of impact is that having on people's travel habits?
Definitely, I would say the most important thing is the story. And the stories are the driver.
Sure.
And the connection. And we believe that great stories are universal. And they just inspire people to take that step, pack their bags, and go on that adventure. And that's why we work with local content or local creators in more than 50 countries to tell their stories in their own languages with local talent. Today in Netflix, we are streaming in 30 languages.
Wow.
In 190 countries to over 247 million members. And that's incredible. And if we see the impact, we can see it through some of our biggest shows. How specific great shows can impact the world. So we have like Squid Games from Korea, All Quiet on the Western Front from Germany,
right.
Beckham from the UK, just to mention a few. And then also we found that at least 70% from members that are viewing on Netflix are watching shows and watching content from countries other than their own.
Really?
So it's incredible.
Yeah. It's interesting because we think about content often as being so US-centric. We're obviously here in Dubai. There is this vast universe of content out there, and it sounds like you're seeing a lot of cross-pollination happening. Talk to me for a second about some of the impact of this. Like a show like Emily in Paris, filmed, Paris is a character in the show, basically. Does that have an impact on people's propensity to want to go there? Like, have we seen any shift as a result of this?
Definitely. I can give one incredible example is that last year, we organized walking tours in Paris, in London, in Madrid, and we invited people to take that journey and to go and see the places where their favorite shows were filmed. And
Right.
it was huge with fans.
Right, okay. Staci, you gave a great presentation just now talking about all of this impact that Brand USA is having through its screen partnerships. Where does screen storytelling fit more broadly into what Brand USA is doing? You're obviously representing a huge destination. You've got traditional advertising. You've got trade shows. Where does screen storytelling sit in your priorities, and how do you think about it?
Obviously, a huge priority because we have a television channel in,
Of course.
in 50 countries and released 3 films and working on a 4th. For us, our main role is really to inspire people to want to come to the United States. So storytelling for us is really important. Screen, film, all fast channel stuff, incredibly important. And it sits really at that inspiration level for us. Trade shows, specific marketing efforts, while that is important for our brand and obviously for the conversion to get travelers to the United States, we want to continue to tell the unique stories that make the United States the incredible place that it is.
I'm interested in these 2 different approaches to storytelling and how you tap into that, right? There are cultural phenomenons that get out there. We saw what happened this summer, at least in the US and I think internationally, with Barbie. The movie was so popular, but destination was maybe not as involved. I don't think you had any stake in the production of that.
I wish I had a...
We all wish we did. But then there's this other side of things where you can more organically create content that then becomes a part of your destination efforts. How do you both think about that balance? Like, are there pros and cons to either approach? Staci, maybe start, and then Saleh, I'd love to have you follow.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, look, there's things that we create on our own for Go USA TV or the films, or if there's an opportunity for destinations to develop or work with producers or their film commission to really have a hand in shaping that authentic storytelling about their destination, we are able to do that. It's a little bit more challenging at the national level, but when I was at a state level, we were able to do that a little bit more effectively. When there's opportunities like Barbie, where things are happening, as the USA, we try to take advantage of those moments and create, extension opportunities around that. So, for example, when Barbie became such a worldwide phenomenon, we leveraged that opportunity to build media relationships further in some of our global markets.
Right.
So we created a private screening for our top-tier media to come. And then we leveraged that as an opportunity to talk more about, okay, Malibu, and then what are some things that you can do beyond that? What are some of the iconic beaches or these kinds of Barbie moments that you can have in the United States?
Sure. So maybe even if you're not involved in the production or the planning, there's still a way after the fact you can kind of capture that lightning in the bottle, so to speak.
Exactly.
Saleh, what's your take on this? I know Netflix doesn't get as involved in the pre-production, but like, how do you think about that balance of like tapping into something that's a cultural phenomenon?
Well, I believe that it's really, really important to focus on the local.
Local.
And then it trickles up to global. So again, when the stories are great and engaging and connects people with places, we believe the organic move from people watching a destination to wanting to go to a destination is the best approach. We never produce just to produce something globally, but we always love to start with something local, and that local finds its way to the world.
I think this local-global dichotomy is really interesting, and I want to ask about this huge library of international content that Netflix has, right? You're involved in, distributing shows from all over the world. How do you think that cross-pollination that Netflix offers viewers is exposing people to new destinations that maybe, it's not a Paris or a London, but it's in Egypt, and that is helping them to understand that destination in a much different way?
Definitely. I would like to highlight a report that we worked with the United Nations World Tourism Organization, and it was an incredible collaboration. And the report highlighted the role of film and series when it comes to being a driver for tourism. And we found that to be incredible. And the connections people made were astonishing. And we also found that governments can benefit from these kind of reports and tourist authorities, because it also shows that impact of seeing local shows and connecting cultures.
Right.
So it's boosting tourism and also connecting cultures. And also raises that interest for people to say, hey, I want to know more about that country, more about their culture, more about their heritage. Hey, what about their music? What about their food, their cuisine, and language? So it's totally inspiring. And of course, we on our own did a lot of surveys. We did a survey also covering parts of North and South America and parts of Europe. And it also, we wanted to see the impact of South African content. We found that at least 3.1 times more people considered that, hey, I'm gonna have South Africa as my number one travel destination. And then also we found that 5.6 times more that people wanted to learn more of the language of that country.
And the South.
Jeremy,
Go ahead,
I
Staci.
think it's important to note also that because of internet entertainment services, that has given access to all of these pieces of content to people all around the world.
Right.
And I think people who are interested in this kind of content, because it can be translated in language, because there's captioning, because it creates a greater accessibility for this kind of content that never existed before these streaming services. And so I think that's the real opportunity, that's the real power, is that before you had to either get a DVD or go to see a screen, and now whatever your interests are and the personalization opportunities that exist within these streaming platforms offer an opportunity for people to get immersed in things that they have passions about that may not be only what's offered to them from their specific country that they live in.
Yeah, I'm amazed by the speed that a great piece of content can travel now, and also by the breadth of content that's available. So if you're interested in a French spy show, you could watch that, right? And I think that's really cool. Talk to me both about this question of where we place the content, right? Mobile is obviously a huge part of the conversation. You look at platforms like TikTok, or even here in the UAE, WhatsApp. How do you think about where content should live, and what impact does screen format have on what types of content people are consuming? Saleh?
Yeah, I would say that it's important to be everywhere. So
Everywhere.
we're on tablets, on phones, on TVs, and you can download them. When I was coming from Amsterdam to Dubai a day ago, most of the people were watching downloaded content from Netflix. And I think that gives a lot of power for a person to experience what they want to watch, when they want to watch, wherever they want to watch.
Yeah. Staci, what is your perspective here? Obviously, you're producing some of your own work. You showed some examples during your presentation. Where does mobile fit in? Do you need to be more conscientious of the type of content you're producing for mobile versus, the big screen?
100%, right? I think the power of the storytelling is really affected by how people are viewing that content.
Right.
And yes, I agree with Saleh that I think that it needs to be everywhere, but at the same time, you also have to really think about the experience of the viewer as they're looking at the content. So, like the 3D IMAX films that I shared, that content, yes, can be viewed on your phone, but the power of that content is on a 3D screen or an IMAX screen. We launched a TikTok channel in January, and we have over 800,000 followers on TikTok now. And the content that we produce for TikTok is very focused on the TikTok experience because that's what people want. But it has to be entertainment first. And that's kind of the thing that we carry through all of the formats, whether it's mobile or 3D IMAX, that it really needs to be engaging and entertaining first content. It can't just be an advertorial about a destination.
Do either of you think that this younger generation cares about the screen format in terms of what they're watching? I think we're all spending so much time on mobile devices. Netflix obviously has a great mobile interface, but if it's a movie, does it matter if it's shown on a big screen versus watching on a mobile device?
I would say it's a personal choice. Sometimes it's a person that just wants to catch up on a series or an episode, and sometimes friends come together or family wanting to watch something together and enjoy it. So it's really a personal choice.
I care as a marketer. That's our job, right? We need to make sure that we're delivering the best and most relevant message in the moment. And I do think that it's important to think about the format.
So for example, the beautiful National Parks documentary you referenced, Staci, is that available to watch on mobile? Can people watch it?
Oh, yes, of course.
Sure.
But as I said before, the experience is just not the same. Maybe viewers don't necessarily care, but I do think that they feel differently. We all feel differently, right? When you go to a movie, that's why there's movies. when you're really immersed in that experience, yes, you can watch it on your phone, but then that's all the distraction around you.
Right. We've been talking a lot about inspiring people with content, but I also want to ask about the other side of it. Okay, I saw this great piece of content, and this audience here, I'm sure, is thinking about the marketing implications. Staci, talk to me a little bit about Go USA TV and also how Shop This Trip fit into kind of taking people from, okay, I'm really inspired by this, how do I actually go there? How does that fit into the strategy that you have?
Right, well, ultimately, we want people to travel to the USA, and so we wanted to think about a way to have them be inspired by a content and then be able to then go book the trip. And I think that's the challenge that destinations often have. I call it the gap in the bridge, right? There is most destinations don't have an opportunity to sell something. And so we wanted to leverage a strategic partnership with Expedia to be able to fill in that gap of the bridge as closely as possible.
How do you both think about the role of brand ambassadors in film and TV? We're sitting at Atlantis the Royal. I know Beyonce was here when the opening. I'm sorry, we tried to get her for the panel. She wasn't available. How do you think about needing a familiar face? You know, Dubai in association with Shah Rukh Khan. I saw Will Smith just did a promotion for Neom. Is that an important factor in the content, or is it really just ultimately about telling a good story first and then just putting it out there? Saleh, what's your perspective here?
Definitely, I would say it's all about the story and how it touches people, touches their hearts, and connects them to the destinations organically.
Sure. Staci, do you have a different perspective here?
No, I agree. I think it really has to be about the story. And I think what we've seen recently is that a brand ambassador is a bit of a risky strategy because
Really?
yeah, I mean, you don't know what's in their background, or you don't know how they're going to behave, and then it causes a lot of challenges on the back end to try to come out from that if you link your brand with a specific individual or celebrity.
Right. I guess there's probably a differentiation here between like a Hollywood level celebrity and maybe somebody who's more of like a social media celebrity.
Got
Would you
it.
say, is there a differentiation or?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, the Hollywood celebrity has a lot more notoriety than
Right.
maybe an internet or a social celebrity.
Right. Well, I think this is a great way to start today's conversation. Staci, Saleh, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeremy.